On August 1st, police raided a mini-mart in Chicago for allegedly selling counterfeit sports jerseys. Irma Rodríguez-González, the store's cashier, was the only person there.
Cuando estaban tomando mi información, yo escuché como que alguien dijo que habían venido los del Homeland.
Although the Chicago Police Department led the raid, they brought along 2 ICE agents.
Me dijo que le enseñara yo mi green card. Entonces yo le dije pues que no tenía.
Irma is from Mexico, but she's lived in the US for 25 years. She has 3 American-born kids and no criminal record. Her arrest was exactly the kind of thing that's not supposed to happen in a sanctuary city like Chicago. Erendira Rendon witnessed the raid from the window of her office across the street. She's a DACA recipient who works at a nonprofit that helps immigrants in the neighborhood.
Hilson's been an immigrant community since it got started, and since about the 70s, it's been primarily a Mexican immigrant community.
So something like the raid that happened at the mini-mart, what does it mean for something like that to happen in a neighborhood like this?
It's something that's incredibly scary, and so I think that this just makes it like, what's the difference between the police and what's the difference between ICE? And we've been working towards trying to make that distinction very clear, and moments like these just completely haze it out.
Why is it important in an immigrant community like this for there to be a division between the police and ICE?
So if I feel that calling the police is going to lead to my deportation, my detention or my family's detention, why would I do that?
Officials in Chicago were outraged by Irma's arrest. The police even put out a statement saying they were, quote, not happy about it. But what happened in the mini-mart was not a mistake. It was the result of a loophole built into Chicago's sanctuary law, and nearly every law like it in the country. The typical sanctuary city, like Chicago, forbids police from working with ICE on immigration enforcement. But it doesn't forbid them from collaborating on criminal investigations. That leaves the door open for task forces that include both police and a department of ICE called Homeland Security Investigations, which deals with transnational crimes like selling counterfeit goods. That's what got the mini-mart in Chicago in trouble, and a case is pending against the store's owner. Now, Democratic officials are taking a harder look at this loophole. Alderman Daniel Solis is one of the biggest champions of sanctuary in Chicago. He helped push the law through the city council and is now part of a team that makes sure undocumented people have access to city services. The mini-mart raid happened in his district.
I didn't know that these task forces existed, and we should have known that.
But it turns out that Solis isn't completely opposed to police working with ICE.
What can we do to prevent, in my opinion, innocent people being this quote-unquote collateral damage that happened in this instance? That's the problem we have to solve.
Do you trust ICE to
No.
make the distinction between good people and bad people?
Under a different administration or previous administration, yes.
But we have the administration we
No.
have.
They've been giving marching orders. They've been given the green light. Get these people out.
Does that mean that there should be absolutely no cooperation between the Chicago police and ICE?
I don't want it on my head that we prevented the Chicago police from cooperating with a task force that is focused on finding terrorists.
If a terrorism task force or a gang task force includes ICE, it is likely to pick up undocumented people who just happen to be where they go, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just the case under this administration. So can such task forces meet your standard?
I can't potentially jeopardize or sacrifice the well-being of other people, other families within a community to say we're going to prioritize undocumented individuals.
Do you think it's misleading to call Chicago a sanctuary city?
Well, Chicago is a welcoming city. That is our ordinance. But whether it's welcoming city or sanctuary city, I'm proud of what we've got. And I'm committed to fixing it if there's a problem with it.
There's nothing any city can do to keep ICE off its streets entirely. But the fact that police would actively work with ICE in a place like Chicago is enough to question the city's right to call itself a sanctuary.
There's really no city that can be a sanctuary. I wish we could stop ICE from coming into our neighborhoods and into our communities, but we can't. But what we can do is make sure that the city doesn't make it any easier on them.
Irma's case is working its way through the immigration courts. Meanwhile, she's sitting in a county jail some 60 miles north of Chicago.
Desde que estoy aquí no he visto ni la luz del sol. Todo el tiempo que llevo aquí encerrada no he salido para nada hacia afuera, ni a un patio, ni a nada. Nos tratan pues como si fuéramos criminales, o sea, y no lo somos.